Welcome to Business Law 1 class. Today look at Session 2 of Unit 1, the concept, classification, and importance of law. Session objectives. By the end of this session, you should be able to tell the nature of law, outline the classification of law, explain the importance of law in the society. The concept of law. The concept of law is defined or explained based on the school of thought one belongs to. We have the positive school of thought and naturalist school of thought. Each of them holds different view. Now, when we pick the positive school of thought, that is the positive theory, they believe that the law is legitimate if its source is from a written rules, regulation, principles that has been expressly enacted, adopted, recognized by governmental institutions, political institutions, including administrative, executive, legislature, judicial bodies, including executive. So for the positivists, they believe that for you to classify or for you to point out that this is a law, then it should be written down, it should be codified. That we can find that the law states that if you kill someone, you should also be killed. They want a specific document in which the law has been written. So they are of the view that the law is legitimate only when those laws are written down in a regulation or expressly stated or enacted. Now we have certain people who are behind this theory. We call it the proponent of positive school of thought. We have John Austin. We also have Professor H.L.A. Hart, and we also have Professor Hans Kelsen. Each of them contributed to the positive school of thought. For John Austin defined the law as command of sovereign backed by threat of sanction. So for John Austin, his definition is that the law you see is a command by a sovereign and it is backed by threat of sanction. What he is saying is that, look, the law is a command when you have to follow, and this law is supported or made by a sovereign body. Because it is made by a sovereign body, the sovereign body has backed it with sanction. That if you fail to obey that command, you will be sanctioned. If you fail to obey the law, you will be sanctioned. According to him, the law is command of a sovereign who, so as you said, it's a command, who has the right to do what he likes and who is habitually obeyed. So with this sovereign person, it's like a superior person. For whatever he says, you are to what? Follow. And if you fail to follow, you'll be punished. That's those who are disobedient to the law or command will be punished. So that's what the Austin mean by law as a command by sovereign, and which is backed by sanction or punishment. Now, Professor Hart also defines law in different dimensions. He said the law is a system of rules which is observed in a given place at a given time. So for Professor Hart, he believes that the law is a system of rules that is given in a particular place at a given time. And to him, the law is made up of primary rules and secondary rules of change, recognition, and education. Now, for primary rules, he says that the primary rules govern conduct such as criminal law. So for primary rules, they are the rules that governs the behavior of people or the conduct. And a typical example is criminal law. Criminal law seeks to regulate the behavior of people. Thus, the law says that thou shalt not kill, thou shalt not do this. And if you do that, punishment is attached to those laws. For secondary rules, Prasad believes that they are the rules of procedure. So secondary rules govern the procedural methods by which primary law are enforced, prosecuted, changed, and adjudicated upon. So for him, with his secondary rules, he's looking at the fact that, look, the secondary rules set down the procedure in which the primary rules can be enforced or can be changed or adjudicated upon when there's dispute. So for Hart, he's looking at law from two dimensions, the primary rules and secondary rules. Also, we also have Professor Hansen Kelsen. He described law as a hierarchy of norms with a basic law he referred to as a gnomon. So what he means is that, look, for every law to be effective, for every law to be accepted, that law derives its power from a law or a source called the gnomon, that is the parent law, the supreme law. So any law that does not meet the standard of the gnomon, that is the superior law, should be struck out. For him, he makes the gnomon as the superior law, that any law that is inconsistent with that superior law should be struck out. So if you bring it to now Ghanaian setting, we say that the constitution is the gnomon, and all other laws must be consistent, or all other laws derive their powers from the constitution. That is why we say that any law that is inconsistent with the constitution should be declared void or invalid. So according to him, the gnomon is the law from which all other sources derive their legality. It means that if any law is inconsistent with the gnomon, in our Ghanaian setting we say the constitution, that law will be declared invalid. It means that the legality of every law depends on the gnomon. And as far as that law is inconsistent with the gnomon, that law becomes invalid or void. Another school, as I talked about, was the natural law school of thought. That natural law school of jurisprudence. For them, they say that all written laws must be informed or made to be consistent with the universal principles of morality, religion, and justice, such that a law is not fair and just may not rightly be called a law. So for natural school of thought, they are saying that any law that you pass, that particular law should be consistent with the universal principles of morality, religion, and justice. So if any law doesn't meet the requirement, if any law doesn't pass the test of morality or justice, that law becomes a bad law and must be struck out. Some of the proponents behind this theory include Plato, St. Thomas Aquinas, then Cicero. Now to St. Thomas Aquinas, in his book Treatise on Law, he argued that law is a rational ordering of things which concern the common goods that is promulgated by whoever is charged with the care of the community. The natural law theorists believe that there is a analytic or conceptual connection between morality and law, whilst the positive school of thought believe not. So for natural school of thought, they are saying that, look, if you pick morality at one end, then you pick law at one end, there's a connection, there's an intersection, which is this one. There's a connection between law and morality. Therefore, any law that is against morals is a bad law and must be struck out. For positivists, they are saying that no, morality and law, there is no connection. They move separately. So the fact that there's a law does not mean that it is void because it doesn't conform to the moral principles. It doesn't work that way. For them, there's no connection between morals and law. There's no necessary connection. Systems of law. There are two systems of law, and these are, you have the common law system and you have the civil law system. The difference between these two systems is that the common law system is based on case law, that is judicial opinions. That's where judges make law. When judges make decisions, those decisions becomes law. It is more of case law. But with civil law system, you're talking about the codified statute. The more of the codified statute prevail or dominate. So whilst in the case of common law system, case law predominates, with civil law, codified statute predominates. And the classification of law, we have substantive law and procedural law. Substantive law deals with the rights and obligations of the parties. For instance, we have the Contract Act, 1960, Act 25. It's a substantive law. We also have the Criminal Code, Act 29. When it comes to procedural law, these are the laws that help us to enforce your rights. For instance, the CI 47. We also have private law. Private law deals with the relationship between private individuals, and the public law deals with issues relating to the public and the individual. We have the civil law. Civil law normally is very broad. It can be it contains relationship between the individual who has entered into contract, or government has entered into a contract with an individual. Civil law regulates those activities. With criminal law, the criminal law deals with issues relating to criminal offense, and most of the time it is the state against the accused. It is the state against the accused. We also have international law and domestic law. The international law is the law that regulates the activities of states, maybe Ghana and Togo. Domestic laws are the laws that governs the domestic activities of the people. So that's why it is within the state, while the international law is between the relationship of two or more states. Now let's look at the functions of law. The functions of law are grouped into three main types. We have the judicial function. In each judicial function, it adjudicates disputes and issue decisions. That's why when a case goes to court, the court will sit on the case and give judgment. For its legislative function, they are saying that it helps to determine the rules that will govern the process of adjudication as well as the creation of rights and obligations. Basically, that is for Parliament to pass laws on how to adjudicate a matter and how people's rights can be set, the obligations are imposed. We also have executive function where you are looking at enforcement of laws to ensure domestic law enforcement and national defense all falls under executive function. In summary of the functions of the law, you're saying that it serves to defend people from evil or wrongdoing. It also promotes the common goods, and also it helps to resolve disputes over limited resources. Lastly, it compels obedience to law and order. Session summary. In this session, we discuss the positives and the natural theory of law as well as the common law and the civil law system widely practiced in most countries. We also look at the classification of law as well as judiciary, legislative, and executive function of law. Thank you and have a nice day.